Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the X Button, Season 5, Episode 21. I am your host, Alejandro, with me, the red-bearded sensation,
Joe LaRussa, how you doing, everybody? Good to be here with you.
and just the two of us for the first time since right before we did Summon Signs, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's right.
yeah, it was like late March, if I remember. So because it was after that Rick joined us and we started doing like the group. But
Yeah, poor
Rick,
Rick with his illness.
yes, I feel for him because remember the one time I got sick and I had to like weekend at Bernie's at that
I
episode.
do. Yes, you were very corpse-like that episode.
Yes, and I still have the glasses that I wore like in that episode because of like because of the head glare. But good to be with you here
Yeah.
today, Joe. Especially end of the month now. May is over. Can you believe that?
Yeah, a little bit. It's been a busy month, with
Mhm.
everything going on. So,
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be extra busy for me because man, it's like it's not stopping for me. I just finished a review, and next week I'm leaving to SGF, my first ever SGF and my first ever gaming convention ever.
Yeah.
I've never been to PAX. I never been to. I would never went to E3. In fact, I was playing Helldivers with Paul last night, and we were kind of like reminiscing how like because he was asking me about SGF, and when we started this channel back in 2019 under a different name called Statics Media, like with my other co-founder, that they're no longer with us, not because they're dead. They just
Yeah, watch the
yes,
phrasing there.
yes, yes. Like they went their separate. We went our separate ways, and they became they. But besides the point, our goal was to eventually like register ourselves as kind of like a media thing that we could, because as long as you had like a YouTube channel or anything like that, you were covering something, you could go to E3. That was always like the you could register, be like, hey, we got this thing, and they would give you like a press patch, and we were hoping that starting that in 2019, we will be able to go in 2020. You know what happened in 2020. And then whatever, and then what ended up happening with E3 overall. So it's like this feels like a very long protracted kind of like this long-term goal that I had way back then, because the E3 was always a dream, and
Yeah.
now I get to go to SGF, which we'll talk about that later. Based on who's gonna be there, seems like it's not gonna be a waste of time. Seems like it's
Yeah.
gonna be a big one.
I
But
always wanted to go to E3 as well. That was the
mhm,
thing that but I never like did anything
mhm.
to
Yeah.
make it happen. It was always just like I liked watching it. It was just fun to,
Yeah, it would have
you know.
been harder for you unless you went the last 2 years where they opened it to the public. That was like the only
Yeah.
the only way. And I heard that it
Yep.
wasn't a good experience for the. They didn't have enough demos, like for
Yeah,
like the
I
crowd.
always stuck with just BlizzCon and the public conventions and things. I've been to PAX East one time
Hmm.
and it was fine, but it's
Yeah,
never been worth.
I
I was
almost.
like, this is kind of fun and it was cool to like see some people and whatnot, but
Yeah, I almost went to PAX East because you remember Sebastian, the guy that recorded
Mhm.
with us when you did your
I remember Sebastian. Yeah, you always do that. You're like, you remember the guy who like, yes, I
yeah.
remember Sebastian,
Yeah, I mean it's been a while.
Alex.
It's been like how much I always have to make sure. But he is the one that he usually goes to PAXs, and he's the one that gave me like
Mm.
the lowdown of how much it cost him to go and the things he did.
It's not that expensive to
Mhm.
go. I went for like a full weekend of PAX and it was like a couple $100. Like it's not
Mhm.
that bad.
It's more about finding the right lodging. Like this is the
Yeah, I did split the hotel room with a friend of
Mhm.
mine. That is
Yeah,
true. We did split it.
and that's my big advantage of me going to SGF. I have family, 15 minutes,
Oh.
so 50 like literally 15 minutes away from the venues. I'm like, how could I couldn't have been more blessed because they're gonna drop me off there like during the day, and then I just have to kind of like carpool with our crew like for
Hmm.
the rest of that time. So it's like this was
Super
very
convenient.
yeah, super convenient, super serendipitous, and this is fun for Ains, our season gaming EIC, because he always goes by himself. He's always the one man army that goes that just to kind of do the SG representation,
Yeah.
and just lined up that I wanted to do a convention, and I was either gonna do PAX or this one, and I felt this one was gonna be like there's something in the air for this one that I was like I feel this is
Yeah,
the
I
one
mean,
that should.
after last year's Game Awards, I
Mhm.
mean, that
Yes,
was a
that
crazy show.
yeah, because it feels like kind of like I was stuck. If you look at cycles, console cycles, like it feels like we're at that cusp of where we need to see what's gonna ride us out for for the rest of the generation. Game Awards did
Yeah.
that, so it's like it feels like kind of like we're there. So
Game Awards started next generation. The Witcher 4, come on.
I know.
Oh
So
man.
it's like I feel it's time. Like we've already ran out of the things that we were revealed like 4 years ago because
Oh
of
yeah.
how things go. So I'm very excited. So sad they're not going to be there because I know you wanted to be there. Do you remember when we were talking about that?
I do, yeah. I
So
wanted to, but the timing of it just doesn't work this year, unfortunately, with my job and
mhm.
you know things like that. So maybe I'll get out there next year.
Yeah,
It,
or
it
at
was really
PAX.
just the yeah yeah or PAX or something. It was just what really did it was the time frame that we had to make the decision by,
Hmm.
and it's hard to make the decision that far out, but also simultaneously that close. Like it wasn't enough time to really have planned for it,
Hmm.
but it wasn't enough time for it to be like a spur of the moment, hey, I'm open, let me do this kind of
Yes.
thing. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
but yeah,
but
that's all right. We
and
got we
it's
got a
also
lot to.
it's not even your first full year at SG either. So
I
it's
know.
like it's still like so it's like it just so happens that you've over inserted like more appearances like as so for someone that's this early like into like the content. So it feels
I
like
think
it's
I was the
longer.
first. I think I was
Yeah.
the first SG like
Guess
person to be on the
in
Bitcast. You
in recent
know.
times because Elu had been in
Oh, had
Bitcast
he?
before.
Okay.
Yeah,
Had to
yeah.
be
So
like way. Had to be before I started watching then, which
mhm.
I've been watching
Oh
for like
yes.
200
Yeah,
episodes.
it was like the pandemic era. So
Mm,
before Ains like solidified the original trio that was him, Travis, and Dan, and then
yeah.
Hogue, and then him right
Hmm.
now. So it was better. So it was been a while, and you were kind of like one of the first to keep bringing back the guests because I came the week after for Monster
Yeah.
Hunter.
Well, you
So
know what? I mean, all you got to do is ask. You never
yes,
know if you don't shoot your shot. It's the same thing with podcast appearances as it is with dating.
I mean that's how we
Shoot your
got to
shot.
summon signs just by
Exactly.
asking.
Yeah, you shoot your
Yeah.
shot. You just got to ask.
Yeah, by the way, I went to
So.
check that episode is almost close to 10K. So that's the most people have seen our faces and heard about us. But enough of this preamble and just kind of like a because mentioning SGF, I am because I'm traveling, like I'm still TBD how it's gonna be for my podcast appearances for the next month, but the podcast is still continuing.
Yeah.
A little fun fact: last week's episode was edited by Joe. He got to see it. So if I join in, like at least we know that Joe now at least knows at least the basics, so we can just upload episodes
Yeah.
every week, so we don't miss the weekly cadence.
Did you ever upload the one that you forgot to upload to
Yes.
Spotify?
Oh yes, I uploaded both of them like like
Okay.
immediately. So don't worry, everything's like
Sorry about that, listener.
yes.
Sorry that that one came a little bit late.
That one came late because remember that's the episode I came halfway through for
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
So but it's up. So but thankfully like don't worry, Joe, Rick, and Paul, they're gonna man the ship. I'll try to see if I can join in through my iPad at least just to kind of like
Yeah.
be there.
And maybe we'll get some guests or something on to
Hmm.
help fill in the extra
Yeah,
spots there. We'll talk to some people.
absolutely.
I'll
And you
send
let me
some
know.
messages.
Yeah, and you let me know. So
Yeah.
and Paul's always doing the thumbnails, so don't worry. Like there's gonna be content still posted for the next month. Thankfully, like that was kind of worried how we are gonna do that. And I think like we got that pretty much covered. So
Yep. I think we're good.
yeah. Preamble over. This is a reminder that this is the X Bottom Podcast, Escapes Gaming Podcast that posts every Fridays from 10 a.m. onwards, God willing. Available in the YouTube channel Escape Gaming, as well as most audio services around the world. Apple Podcast, Spotify, and the like. You can find links and the RSS feed at tinyurl.com/escape gaming. If you enjoy our show, give us a like and subscribe. And don't even dare ask why I'm in a chippy mood today. So, uh, what have we been playing? Joe, I finished my review for Blades of Fire.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. That thing is that thing is done.
What'd you give it,
And
Alex?
5.5 out of 10. It hurt my soul because I even said it in my review. There is nothing I like more than a studio that in recent times was being famous for working on someone else's property, going, hey, we want to do an original game now with what we've learned. I've said many times that we need more new IP to fill up the release calendar because like some franchises are long in the tooth or taking too long to come. It's like I'll always welcome a good IP. I will always welcome new
Oh
IP.
yeah.
Unfortunately, new IP has to be good. And the problem with Blades of Fire is that its core is good. I enjoy that combat. I think it's pretty. I applaud someone be like, we're making a game that looks like the million Souls likes that are like has enveloped character action based games at this point. Like you see an action game, immediately you see it's like, God damn it, another Souls. Like it just becomes something that rolls your like makes you roll your eye. And I like the people that like to paint within kind of like that spectrum to try to find something unique. Like
Yeah,
you like one game that did that last year, Stellar Blade. It's a game that
I
was like
do. Gotta
it
go back and get that platinum.
same, especially with like the new DLC that's coming. I'm like, I'm feeling like they should kind of go back. I
I mean,
really
I'm
like it.
done. Like I literally just have to do like a story mode run and get
Mm,
the
the new game
ending, the
plus.
other ending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the new game plus story mode run. Like that's it. That's because I got both endings.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and redid and got both endings on
Mm-hmm.
normal that you can get, and then I have to get the one that you can't get if you do a certain thing in the
Mm-hmm.
game. So yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, no, but it's kind of like my point is like you're not a Souls-like person, but you like the game that painted within kind of like that subgenre of game. And I felt Blades of Fire was kind of doing that, and I really appreciate it and like that. I think it visually eventually looks really nice. It moved on from fantasy slop generic like fantasy aesthetic into like more colorful like or more kind of like uniquely colorful exotic
hmm
visual composition that I was like, this is actually a really nice looking game. And I appreciate that it's not Unreal Engine 5, it's not other technologies, like it's Mercury Steam using their own tech to make a game that at least looks unique, if not the best looking game in the market.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is surrounded by the most bland story in a game that I played in a long while, that it's so predictable, so generic, and because of its length, waits so long to tell you quote unquote revelations that you could have seen coming a mile away. If you've ever heard of a story that starts with "I'm gonna kill a queen," okay, why does it want to kill the queen? Put in AI reasons why someone would want to kill something, and you basically got that. It didn't like justify trying to make that kind of like the thing that kind of carries you.
hmm
And unfortunately, because it just takes too long to say something, it's like I just lost complete interest, despite the fact that the world around you kind of looked cool. But it's like it just felt empty to me. Like it just felt like
That's unfortunate.
and your companion was so annoying. It's like like you made the betrayals just mentioned last week, but it's like that companion is so like in the annoying side of like a quirky of a quirky companion that I just never warmed up to him.
hmm
As I never really warmed up to your main character, besides like how it starts as this hermit blacksmith that got access to a hammer of the gods. And the worst part, I said it before, and this bears repeating: the level design undoes this game because it wants to be a Metroidvania, but also wants to be a vague Souls-like, and I don't feel those genres mix together well. Because
Yeah.
you're gonna be running in circles like an idiot. Be like, where am I supposed to go? Like I've gone to every single thing. Like where? And then it turns out you needed a companion to tell you, stand here for
Ugh.
suddenly to be like, wait a second, I remember something. Slow walk. It's over here. A wall that you could have like. I wish like for the design for that game to be better if you ran into like, because this game is so dependent on bottom prompts to correct to for like to interact with your environment.
Yeah.
Maybe if you like ran into that thing, uh, it could be like how can I say this? It would reward your own curiosity, and maybe your companion is there just to kind of point you if for some reason you're really lost. You don't need to wait for a scripted thing to tell you to go to something that you could have logically seen, but you couldn't progress because you were not standing at the right place for that to
Mm.
for that to progress.
Yeah, I like when, I mean, you know this. I like
Mm-hmm.
when NPCs tell me where to go and what to do
Yes.
and whatnot, but
Mm-hmm.
having a specific trigger for it is a
Mm-hmm.
little weird. That's
Yes.
an odd choice.
Especially for a game that really doesn't really point you. There is an option, like if you go to options, there's something that says show next objective, that in the map it will mark the general area. Okay, you need to go here.
Yeah.
But then it's not gonna tell you exactly
Uh-huh.
what you need to do in a place, but at the very least, you have some semblance of exactly where you need to go. Because of it being a Metroidvania, it means that there's gonna be sections that are sectioned off because you don't have like the right unlocked or a right key for something, all that. So it still plays on that, but I feel like a Metroidvania should never, like progression should never be dependent on scripted triggers by standing in a
hmm
specific place for a companion to tell you something that you could have found on your. I feel if they tweaked it that the right place, you just somehow you're standing in the right place, and then the trigger for like pressing R1, which is your action button to go, that would
Yeah.
have made it so much better, because then it's like you're not feeling like I've been here and I see nothing, and then you backtrack and it's like I don't know where it is, and the map is beyond horrible. That map, this game has too much verticality for a map to just be a top-down flat thing.
Oh, so it's got the control problem.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It absolutely has the control problem. So And that game was also tough for people that were not were directionally challenged too. So maximize it by 2 with this one. I
Hmm.
feel if they were to update this game, if they were to do like that thing of maybe just add like a trigger that you don't need the requirement of this companion to tell you that, it's like I feel that's like the success of a Metroidvania is you on your own agency, like finding that thing. The things that you
Yeah.
need to find then just become so unnecessarily hidden and obtuse that it just becomes frustrating. It's just like you don't feel that satisfaction. Like I finally found a place. Like man, I just wasted hours running in circles finding this thing. So
Hmm.
it's like it just kept adding and adding. And I was aiming for a 6 because of what I told you is that I feel like I like the combat and the visuals well enough that I feel it's like okay. But by the time that I reached the end, some 57 hours later, halfway through the credits, it stopped to be like, there's another quest for like a true ending. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Sorry, because it's like your story wasn't good enough. You annoyed me so much with your level design that despite me loving this combat enough that even though to me like that combat is good enough but not good enough for a game this long, I feel like the depth
Hmm.
wasn't there. That this combat would have worked with a 20-hour game. By the time that you reach 20 hours, if it would have felt like the game already had everything it needed to say, I would have felt better. But
How long do you think the true ending quest would have taken you to do if
I
you were
heard
going to
as
do it?
long. I want to. This was the point where I went to look other reviews, and they said that it's like another 10 hours. I'm like, no,
Hmm.
nah. I was like, sorry, I can't. I would say maybe I still I'm still I even put it in my review. It's like I understand maybe the length of what this took me was also attributed to how much time I wasted running around. Maybe you're playing this game
Yeah.
with a guide in hand. Maybe you're gonna cut like that tedium by always knowing exactly where to be, where to stand, and all that, and just kind of like just keep what's good about the game, which is combat, kind of like more at the forefront. But I feel
Hmm.
like I do resent games that I feel like you need a guide to really make the game better. You know what I mean? I feel like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
should be
yeah.
like baked into the design. So a 6 became a 5.5, and
C'est la vie. That's
yes,
life.
that's live. But hey, my first negative review for the year. And this was a bummer because when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's Mercury's team. I like their Castlevania games. I love Metroid Dread in 2021. This should be a short one. They're like on a roll right now. I'm glad
Yeah.
that they're doing a new IP. I'm gonna do this. And man, it was like it's one of my biggest disappointments of the year from that
It's
from pedigree to what it
it's
was.
cool to see Mercury's team try to go into 3D
Hmm.
stuff too. Like
I mean,
that's all I'll say
Castle
because I
the
don't play.
Castlevania, Lords of Shadow was a 3D game, but it was like a God of War fixed camera 3D game.
Yeah, and
So
it's old.
exactly. So it's like, but this is more like a more full 3D. You control the camera, explore everywhere
Hmm.
kind of game. So
Yeah.
and a new game. They have not done a single new game since Clive Barker's Jericho in 2007. Since
There you
then, they've
go.
been so that's why I was like, finally, you guys are gonna do your own thing after playing on someone else's sandbox, and I hope you do better next time. I still like you guys, but it's like this game just
Yeah.
is the mark.
Do we have any sales or success data on it at all? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the Metacritic is still like low 70s.
Okay. Yeah.
And maybe at the very least, like I did read, like for example, you mentioned the Eurogamer review, and I went to read it just to kind of like after I wrote mine, just to kind of see exactly why
Yeah,
he liked
in
it.
our chat I mentioned it. Yeah.
Yes, and why he gave it the 4 stars is that he really honed in on the combat and kind of and that more than, and he mentions the things that I criticize. So it's like I know there's gonna be some people that really like its score and they're gonna maybe forgive
Yeah, it's all
what's
subjective.
around.
It's all how does it make me feel
Hmm.
playing
Exactly.
this game here? Yeah,
Yeah,
understood.
and you
Okay.
saw it. I was
You were
pain.
struggling. You were in pain. You were for sure.
I was in
So
pain
what have you done to give yourself a salve over the pain of this game?
because SGF is literally around the corner. I didn't want to put time into like a newer game, so I just went back to a bunch of old stuff. I'm still like the end of Andor over in Disney Plus kind of still have me like in a Star Wars kick, and I just installed a bunch of old PS1, PS2, PS3 era Star Wars games, and I've just kind of like been playing it just as just a glance on top of me playing Fortnite. That has the Star Wars,
Right,
the Star
yeah,
Wars theme
the
right now.
season, yeah.
I keep playing that with my sister and my brother-in-law, who I'm gonna go to after I'm done with SGF. I'm gonna fly to see them and be with them for a couple of weeks. I played Helldivers 2 briefly yesterday with Paul because he had a day off, and there was the new Super Earth update that I kind of wanted to check out. So we played a couple matches. And I'm still kind of going through my replay of the Uncharted series. I'm at Uncharted 3 now, so it's like nothing more to add there. But I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm cleansing with the old stuff. As when I reach DC, I'm gonna take my PS5 with me. I want to see like before Death Stranding 2 comes out. I'm gonna see if like I dive in, maybe play more of Oblivion Remaster, maybe some of KCD 2. But knowing that I will have more time to kind of like that, I hate trying to get into something new when I know I'm gonna have like an extended stop time for like a week when I go to SGF. I don't even know if I'll have a TV where I'm staying. So
Yeah, no,
and
I know what you're talking about. I get that for
yeah.
sure.
But speaking of Star Wars, you finished the second DLC.
I did, yeah. I started and finished the second DLC since the last one. When we last spoke a
Mm-hmm.
week ago, I had done the first one, and then I didn't have a chance to do the second one that weekend because I was away over this weekend. But
Mm-hmm.
when I got back, I got to jump in, and the second one is a bit longer. It's a fair amount longer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly how much longer. I think it's like 5 quests or
Mm-hmm.
6 quests or something versus the other one, which I think was like 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fair amount chunkier. I liked the first one a bit more, mostly because I really like Sabacc. I thought the Sabacc game is
You
kind of
like
fun to
gambling.
play.
You like
I
gambling
do. I
too.
do. You're right. I do like gambling. I do. Yeah. So, and Lando, I like Lando as a character. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know Hondo, which I think is the most ridiculous name because it's a
Yeah.
combination of Han and Lando.
Yeah, Honda Osaka or something like that. Like this is that his name.
Onaka.
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 Yeah. This
Yeah.
and to be
Um,
fair to you, like the people that love like Hondo watched Clone Wars and watched
I don't
Rebels,
I
and you
want to
have
say I
not.
don't have anything against the
Huh?
Hondo guy. Like he's whatever. He's a little annoying, but he's just Tigger. He's just Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and all I do is hear Tigger's voice
That's so
behind there. He's
fun.
not changing his he basically is Tigger with an accent. Like he doesn't do anything to disguise his voice.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's Jim Cummings for people
Uh,
who don't know. And so, yeah, I played that. I enjoyed it. I like Star Wars Outlaws. It's a good game, and I like Star Wars in general, even if I don't love Star Wars. So
mhm,
it was nice to be back in the world, and I like Kay as a character,
mhm,
and you know the. So let me talk a little bit about the DLC itself without
mhm.
going to the story, because this is actually substantive. They actually add a new system
Oh, really?
to the map. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Um, no, not nice. And the reason
What?
it's not nice. It's stupid. And the reason it's stupid is because it has all the trappings of the other systems, like all the like treasures and
Huh?
places to look at. It doesn't have a planet or anything, but there's no reason to do any of it. I have the
Mm,
platinum. I think you have the platinum, or
not
you've
yet.
done like
I missed out because I lost my
right,
save with my
because
the PS5.
right, it broke the
So,
save. Yeah. So I have the platinum. I have finished this game. They don't add any reason for me to care
mhm.
about any of this stuff because
Makes
you're
sense.
still just getting materials. You're just getting ship materials, blaster materials. You're getting the upgrade materials. All my stuff was fully upgraded. And then they were like, "Oh, well, we'll give you a new organization to do contracts for, and that'll give you a whole new branch of upgrades." It's like, "Okay, but why am I upgrading? What is the benefit for me upgrading?" "Oh, well, so that you can do those contracts better." I'm like, "Oh, so you want me to upgrade my ship so that I can do contracts so that I can upgrade my ship?"
Mhm.
That's it. There's because the story itself has no, you don't have any bearing. Literally, you get one upgrade for your ship so that you can continue the story. And then the rest of the upgrades are just optional things that make your ship more powerful or give it the ability to do these different contracts. But there's no drive behind it. You're just working for something called the Mizuki Trade League and
Mhm.
or the Miyuki Trade League, and you do the contracts, and they're complex. Like there's like, oh, add this kind of cargo and you have these restrictions, and this kind of thing will hurt your ship, and this kind of thing will have like it's a very in-depth system with
Mhm.
absolutely no motivation to do it.
Mhm.
I don't have any reason to do it because there's no story thread attached to it. There's no perks to it other than getting my ship stronger, but my ship doesn't need to be stronger because I'm not doing anything anymore.
Mhm.
So, unlike the main game where I cleared all the treasures in the systems, all the treasure chests that were in the outer space, I just did like a couple of them and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not getting anything worth doing it. There's no purpose in this.
The
So I
Ubisoft
said,
problem, right? That they like adding a bunch of content that sometimes doesn't feel meaningful other than just checking a checklist.
yeah, but usually the checklist is like a part of the story. Like you've added the new zone, and then
Hmm.
you're gonna do stuff in the new zone. But no, like in this extra content, the story is its own thing. You're going along the story route. there's never any real reason or really any time to stop and go like, oh, now I'm gonna go and clear out. And here's the thing, Alex,
Hmm.
that new zone that they add, you get access to a second ship, a new ship type, not just your EML fancy
Hmm.
ship. You get something called a refractor,
Uh-huh.
and you can't loot the treasure chests in that zone without the refractor. But you don't get access to the refractor until you beat the story.
Wow. So there's a, and for you that you're already 100%ed, you have no reason to.
No reason whatsoever to
Yeah.
do any of the treasure chests in that new sector.
Yeah.
The only thing that would be interesting would be running the contracts. I did one contract. There was a
Hmm.
trophy related to it. I was like, all right, let me check this out, see what it is, because it is in the game. I paid for it. It's content. Let me explore it and see. And it was literally the same contracts that you always have with some extra qualifiers that make it a little bit more difficult. That was it.
Makes sense.
So it was a good story. I enjoyed the story well enough. The but the rest of it was just pointless. It was just pointless.
Did it feel very standalone? Like did it feel like what he was telling in that DLC
Yeah,
closed
it's a totally
itself? Yeah.
standalone thing. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not connected to the main
Yeah.
thing really at all. It has like callbacks and like little references to things
Hmm.
that happen. And honestly, like if you did this before the game was over, they may have like an alternate dialogue that doesn't reference,
Hmm.
the things that happened in the
Hmm.
main story a little bit. But like they're not heavy references. It's just like, oh, this thing happened, or this
Yeah.
person betrayed you, or that sort of thing. And like you may not have known that that happened earlier in the
Hmm.
story.
Yeah. The save
That's
that
it.
I had was halfway through the story. Like the save that got saved before my console got killed, that got put into the cloud, was 15 hours into the story. So I want to see if I can like pick it up from there. Maybe do those
You
DLC.
probably could.
Yeah. So at least
I
to
can't
see.
imagine why you wouldn't be able to.
Hmm. Yeah, because right now I think Outlast could be like the game that I could play at least for a week before I leave.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean
so
these both. The first one took me 1 day. The second one took me 1 day plus like I had one mission left when
mhm.
I had to stop because I had to get to bed for an early meeting the next day. Like
Yeah, makes sense. So
that's it. So yeah, so that was Outlaws. It's fine content. I'm not super over the moon about
it's
it, but
it's more Outlaws, a good
it is. It's
game.
more it's more Outlaws, and it's cool. It was cool for me to have a reason to go back and see the tweaks that they had made to the game, the QOL
Mhm.
improvements and stuff over the last, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, the last
Uh,
8 months or
8 months. They,
so.
they really like we got the
Yeah.
early access version of that game before they
I mean,
found.
in a way
Mhm.
we did for sure. Oh, but still, 8 months on, still buggy in some ways. I had this one bug I have to share really quick is I was exploring the part of this new area that you go to,
Mhm.
and I was sneaking around, and now you can like pick up weapons, right? You can pick up the weapons and like store them behind your back or whatever. So I pick up a weapon
Mhm.
as I'm sneaking around. I just done this really annoying sneaky thing that I was able to get done. I just grab a weapon because I'm like, oh, new weapon. I just picked it up. And I locked up. I locked up. I could run around. I could control. I could like move myself around,
Just to completely soft lock the game.
but I couldn't switch to my blaster. I couldn't I couldn't pause the game. The pause button didn't work. I had to hard close the game with the PS button. And I was like, what happened?
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It was
Oh man.
crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? What? Like, I couldn't switch the blast. All I could do was shoot the blaster. That was the only thing that worked was shooting, not the blaster, shooting the gun
Mhm.
that I picked up. The blaster, I couldn't switch over because I went over to this door and I was like, I got to open this door because that was where like the objective was. And I couldn't open it. I was like, oh, maybe it's locked. And then
Mhm.
when I tried to like switch over, I was like, wait, I can't. It's not that I can't open the door. I can't do anything.
Mhm.
Couldn't believe it. It was the crazy. I
Oh
was just
man.
shocked.
Yes.
I was like
It,
8 months on, and this is the last mission of the last DLC too, and I'm like,
oof. Yeah,
come on.
that's the worst part. Like the last thing that you
Uh,
remember from a game is like a buggy thing. It's like it's the worst feeling
so stupid.
that could
Yeah.
have happened. But
I mean, thankfully there were other like it wasn't the last part of the last mission, but it was in that last mission. I was trying to wrap it up, and
that's
so
the
had to
that.
reload the game, and I only lost like the one annoying stealthy thing that I did. So like I didn't have a ton that I had to redo. It was just so stupid.
Hmm.
It's such a stupid spot to have that such a weird thing. But yeah, so that's that. And then the other thing I've been playing is I finally got to start Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Yes. What was the? Where do you stop? What was the last thing you did? Just so I can know. Yeah, I know that game super well now. So
Without any major spoilers, I just entered the manor.
perfect. Yeah, I know where you are. Yeah,
That's it.
so you play a good 3 to 5 hours, basically. It's around
About
like that.
3.5 hours is what my clock says on
Mhm.
there. I think is what it is. I think it's 3.5 hours. Yes.
Yeah, so far, how are
Um.
you liking it?
Uh. So far, I really like it. Um. I like. Okay. First of all, are you playing in performance or quality? I think we talked about this
Performance,
and you said
performance,
performance. Okay.
performance. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I always put quality just to start it to see how the frame rate is. And
Hmm.
then as soon as it gave me control and I turned to the camera, I was like, nope. And I
Yep.
switched it immediately to
Yeah, it has a
performance.
little bit of a judder in that kind of like a.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I really like this game so far. I think that the voice acting is really good. It's so funny to just hear Daredevil grunts
Yes.
because the same grunts that Charlie Cox makes as Daredevil are the
Uh-huh.
same grunts he makes as Gustav. I guess grunting is the same no matter which accent you're putting on
Oh
because
yes.
his British grunt sounds just like his American grunt,
Mhm. And now
which is
like
really funny.
are you not distracted by the fact that it's like Charlie Cox's voice coming from Robert Pattinson lookalike?
I was not distracted by that, but the
Uh,
moment that we got into like a cutscene, because Jing was watching me play for a
uh-huh.
little bit, I want her to at least see the prologue opening up to the Gomage, not
Hmm.
like nothing past that, because she had to go to bed anyway. But so
Hmm.
she got that far, but and what like almost immediately she goes, "Hey, it's that guy from Twilight, the Edward guy." I was like, "Oh my God."
It's so funny. It really is so
It
funny.
is
They
only at
model
certain
it.
angles. It's
Uh-huh.
certain angles it really looks like him. Not every angle, I will say, but yeah, it does. So
Hmm.
that's not distracting to me really. Um, but the thing that is distracting is just hearing the Daredevil grunts because he just
Hmm.
Charlie Cox grunts like he is a grunter,
Hmm.
in Daredevil in as Gustav. So that's funny to hear. Um, I I put it on the expeditioner mode, not the story mode, not the hard
Hmm.
mode, just the standard one. I was really bad. It's funny. Some moves I'm horrible at parrying and
Hmm.
dodging, and I just can't figure it out. Other moves, every
Easy.
time, bing, 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 no problem whatsoever. And it's so funny that that happens.
Let me guess. Is it the guy that charges and stabs?
Which one that I'm good at or bad at?
Bad at when you're it's one of the early ones that you find when you're like in the already in your expedition. It's one that has like a diamond face and has like a big stab that their
Is it the
attack is like
short one or the tall one?
I think it's a short one. It's one that says basically he like twirls, charges, and then like stabs because that was a parry that took me a while to like nail down. So
Yeah, it's I think it might be that one, but what really gets me is the the jump slam where it attacks the whole party.
uh
That one's kind of tricky.
yeah, and that one you have to press jump and then R2 to for the whole party to kind of like do a counter attack. So
Oh, I haven't gotten to that. I just parry it still. I just do a
oh
parry
yeah,
gun.
yeah. Sorry, because there's like an area attack that is like a. I probably you see the one that there's someone that
Yeah, I haven't
that
gotten to the
slams.
jump ability. I haven't
Yeah.
gotten to the one. I know there's one where I need to jump. I haven't gotten to
Okay.
that part
You
yet.
eventually yeah,
Yeah.
you get it after the manor actually because
Yeah.
of reasons why you're in the manor.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, so I'm some of them I'm really good, some of them not so good at. I had to, the part where you have the second duel, the rematch of the duel where you get the
uh-huh.
token. I
Yes.
had to restart the game because I failed that duel the first time
That's so fun.
horribly.
But the things that you could rematch with Mael if you talk with her immediately.
But you don't get the coin.
Mm, I got it because I messed
Oh,
up.
I checked IGN's guide because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss
Uh-huh.
anything in that prologue area. It said if you rematch with her, you don't get the coin, is what it said.
Interesting. Why did I get it done?
I don't know.
Or maybe I know what I okay, that makes more sense. So I didn't get the coin, but I bought the right thing for
Yeah,
what
you
I
bought the
need.
right thing. I wanted to buy all the things, so I bought all the things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes more sense. Yeah, so because
So I
even Paul
reloaded,
messed
and but
up.
then the next time I did it, I was like, boom! It was like I did great. I was awesome. I
Mhm.
will say, I did fight the mime in the first area in the prologue. That took me a lot of tries.
Mhm.
Uh, that probably took me 6 tries, 5 or 6 tries, which is not a lot, I guess, but it's a fair number of tries. And it was
Mhm.
really funny because Jing was still watching at that point, and she's like really sleepy and wanting to go to bed, and she's like, "You're not gonna do it. Just he's too strong for you. Just stop and go," because she knew I was gonna,
Uh-huh.
let her go to bed soon. And then I did it, and then she was like, "Wow," she was impressed that I figured it out there.
I actually recommend if you can try to have Jane watch you play this game. I think she would find it pretty captivating. Like if
I
you,
tried. That's what I tried to, but she wasn't that interested at first, and it's hard to fit into the schedules and
Mhm.
whatnot with it, because she's so busy with her own thing, and then she's also going out of town this weekend. And if you think I'm
Mm,
skipping a weekend of this game, you're
nah.
nuts. There's no chance.
Yeah,
But
especially it's like it's the second game that you're kind of jumping in slightly late to, so it's like
yeah,
better.
I know, because the GameStop thing screwed me up with shadows. Everything it set me off like a month between
Mm,
behind everything that was annoying. But I want to brag a little bit. The second mime, because the first one in the prologue, the second
hmm.
mime in the first major
That's
main
like to the
area.
left. That's kind of like when you
Yeah,
get to the area and you go to the left. Hmm.
yeah, I missed it at first. Again, I was checking a guide just to figure out where to go, not to spoil things, because I'm trying to get my bearings here, and I know
Hmm.
how bad the map is. Um, and then so I was like, oh, let me go back and do that. So I went back, one try,
One try, beautiful.
one try. I was so proud.
So
It was a little close,
yeah,
but it was one
so
try.
the trick to be able to parry and dodge effectively, it's less. Don't focus too much of if the attack is close to you. Use the sound cues. There's every time that an
Okay.
attack is about to hit you, they do like a something like that. Here's something like a very
Okay.
specific, and that like if you're able to time your dodge or parry to that sound, it's gonna make it easier because if not, if you're trying to focus on when the attack hits you, it's like that's
Yeah.
much harder to nail because every this is kind of like where the souls-like nature of the design, like, because everyone has a different animation of how they attack.
Yeah, I've
So
noticed.
yeah, so but the sound cue is kind of like your cue to kind of help you,
Okay.
kind of like so emphasize
Yeah,
sound.
I'll try
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
focus
so
on that a little bit more. Yeah, but it's been really cool, and the story so far. I'm really early in the story.
mhm.
I am intrigued by that opening scene after they've departed. After the opening scene, and then
The Normandy beach scene.
yeah, the Normandy Beach scene. Yeah, I have uh a theory about that guy a little bit, but I don't have any reason to actually about like the person that you
That has a cane, a person they
yeah.
found that has a cane. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually want to stop talking now because I didn't know about the Kane guy. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't know, but I just like I had a theory about him, and then I'm like, no, that's probably not true. But I was like,
Mhm.
maybe it could be. Um, yeah. So I was not expecting that scene to happen. I knew that like bad stuff happened. I just wasn't expecting that scene to go the way that it did.
And that quick.
No, I actually knew it was that quick. I did know that it was that quick. But I was just not expecting that to be the way that it all happened,
Mhm.
that all went down. Do we ever get an understanding why Lune flies when she runs?
No, no, it's like
Okay.
yeah, and the fact that she is barefoot compared to everyone else, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like other than being
Okay.
kind of like Gunner material.
It's French.
Yes, that's
That
probably
is
all the
it.
explanation you need.
I will say one thing when Jing and I were in the early scene and I let her know I was like, by the way, it's a French game. It's supposed to be like very French. Like 30 minutes in, we're in the middle of a scene with Sophie and she's
Uh-huh.
talking or something, and Jing goes, "This is really French." I was like, "I told you it was
Yes,
really French."
it's a game that wears its Frenchness in its sleeve.
I was
It's a
like,
it's Belle Epoque
"Yeah,
like
Belle Epoque, yeah."
aesthetic. Yeah, it's like
I, I said to her, I was like, there are baguette costumes in this game somewhere apparently."
mhm,
So, so one thing I forgot to do when I started the game was because I bought the Lumiere edition,
mhm.
I opened it in Florida when I was there so that I could have just bring the disc with me instead of like the whole thing. Um, and I thought that I had redeemed the code
Mhm.
already, so I just started the game. But then I was like, why don't I have the costumes? Didn't I get costumes with this or something? And then I
Uh,
remembered I took a picture of the code.
uh-huh.
So I went and I had to then find the picture in my phone and then insert the code, and then I got the bonuses in the.
I like those costumes, especially the black ones that you got.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the red, just the standard red one for doing that side quest.
Mhm.
For now at least. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Story is interesting. I'm intrigued by it. I'm really curious. Like this whole world has me interested, and I'm very. I wonder whether I'll fall on the Hogue Rick side or
Mhm.
the Alex and Paul side
Yeah,
of this
it
feeling.
depends because it's like I just have to say that it's a game that when everything is revealed, is gonna fall more on the emotional side of things,
Okay.
what and instead of the logical side of things.
Yeah.
You know the kind of person Hogue is.
I do.
Yes, he's a robot. Apparently an emotionless robot. So that's a reason why he landed that way and why he's so like
But why does it land that way for Rick? Rick isn't really a robot. You know, our podcast Rick, not Hogue Rick,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, with our Rick, it's more he got caught up by he was too online, let's just say.
Oh, the
He,
hype caught him.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it was like
Yeah,
because he got screwed. Like, you're just like you and him have been like the target for
I
GameStop
know.
recently. So it's like he has got delayed, and in the 4 days that he waited, kind of like
Yeah.
the discourse around that game and the praise around that game, kind of like
Yeah.
yeah, rose from 0 to 100, and he tends to be like that, like he like that
He
feral.
absorbs
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and then I told him I was like, just tune that out and just play it, and then look at
Yeah,
the it's so that's kind of like what happened, and he put it
I
on hard,
see.
and he's playing it on hard for reasons, so it made him like stick
Did he finish
long.
it? I don't remember. Did he
No,
finish it?
because
No. Okay.
Rick likes to like jump like
I
for so
see.
many
Okay.
different games, and I
Yeah.
think to his detriment, and I will say this, like if you hear a lot of the glazing that happens with this game is after Act One. You're in Act One right now, so it's like
Yes.
what people like really take into this game is that you'll see it end of Act One
Yeah.
onwards. It's like the real game would I
Okay.
would there even start like after Act One, even though it's like it's still pretty
I
good
guess
early
that's
on.
probably when
Yeah.
you get your party members and you're all together,
Mhm.
like that sort of thing. I do find it funny though, when I was telling Jing about just the basics of the game as we were getting ready to start, I looked at her and I said, "So this is either one of the greatest games ever made of all time, or
Uh,
it's pretty good."
yeah,
I was
pretty
like,
much.
"That's about it. It's one or the other."
Yes,
So
yeah. It's
we'll
like
find out which one.
I still feel like I'm in that position where I feel like the praise is justified because it's very captivating. It's
Yeah,
like it's so
the lip
sometimes
syncing is very distracting.
that's the only thing is that like you see how it's still a game made by a few people,
Yeah.
like in those tiny little things, but then you look at it in the macro and it's still so damn impressive that they were able to
Yeah,
build
and
this.
it's fun. I will say, like the fair amount of combat. I really wanted to make sure that I at least got like a
Mhm,
chunk of the combat in. I really like the combat of this
mhm,
game. I think that the press A or press X or whatever
mhm,
to hit your ability, make it stronger is timed very well. I think that's a very fair timing. I
mhm.
don't think like I'm like like freaking out
Yes.
to hit the button. I
Mhm,
don't feel like I'm too early most of the time. I think that's pretty well balanced, and the
mhm,
parries haven't been bad. I will give it credit. I didn't realize this because nobody actually ever said this before, but if you mistime your parry or your dodge and you're early, you
mhm.
can do it again and still make it.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever said that. I thought it was like a once and you're done. You
Yeah.
have a perfectly good second opportunity, and I have definitely survived attacks because I took a second opportunity because I was
Mhm.
way too early
Yeah,
on it.
it's all about how soon you got that wrong parry before like
Yeah,
the character animation kind of like resets. But
yeah. So
I'm
yeah,
really
I like that. I think that's fair. I think that's a good approach
I
to it,
just
and
like
it's
how it
fun.
yeah, I just like how it feels like a turn-based game that feels captivating from moment wise because it's
Yeah,
very easy for I enjoyed the turn-based combat of like a metaphor because it's about like press square
strategy.
immediately and there's like the strategy but it feels like very
Yeah,
immediate in the actions that you're taking, but this kind of like takes it to like the next step and just kind of
yeah.
keep
And you
it
didn't finish metaphor, so
exactly it's like
yeah. Metaphor gets hard. Like it can be tough. I was way over leveled in metaphor for sure.
yeah,
Um,
but and that's still one that I'm still trying to because I know it's long, so it's like when can I go
yeah.
back to you to kind of like clean it
The
with all that's
So,
coming.
so one thing I like in Clair Obscur more than Metaphor is they both do that thing where if you don't take damage,
Extra XP.
you get extra XP.
Mm-hmm.
But what sucks about Metaphor's implementation of it is that you don't control taking damage most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the luck of the draw. Did my character dodge or not? Which is I don't mind that in turn-based games. Like that's normally how it goes. But don't punish me by
Mm-hmm.
giving me less experience because the dice rolled wrong that I didn't roll a dice. At least in Metaphor, it lets me do the thing that gives me the bonus
You
XP.
mean
If
in
I screw
yeah,
it
you
up,
mean
I
in Clair
screwed up.
Obscur. Yeah, in Clair Obscur you
Yeah,
mean.
sorry, yeah.
So,
In Clair Obscur, at least in Clair Obscur, it lets me do the thing versus in Metaphor where it's not in my control. I like being in control of the fact that I could get extra experience, and you
mhm,
get like it's 20%. It's not nothing.
exactly.
Like
Yeah,
you get a lot.
and that's not unique to Clair Obscur. This is kind of like the evolution of Paper Mario. Paper
Mm,
Mario was the one that allowed you to give you the chance for mitigate damage or do a parry that's sometimes hard to pull off. But
Yeah,
it's
do you
like
get extra experience in Paper Mario for that though? Because
I remember, yeah,
I know you can do it. I just don't
yeah,
remember if you
yeah.
can.
I think you do, but it's been a while since I played Paper Mario.
Okay.
Come and saving it to see if it unlocks its frame rate for the Switch too, because it ran at 30, even though originally in GameCube it ran at 60, and there was like files I found. But that's
Hmm.
besides the point. But I'm excited for you to continue the journey. I want to see how long. Just let us know when you finish Act One.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
just all I need
will.
to know.
For sure.
So,
I mean, it's only like a 30-hour game. There is
mm,
Jing is gone from tomorrow through Monday, like sometime midday or late Monday. Like
mm-hmm,
there is a high likelihood I could have this game finished in 30 hours over, that amount of time
mm-hmm,
from if I don't do anything else. So I won't say I'll have it finished because I also might, I don't know, maybe I'll go for the platinum or something. But yeah,
mm-hmm.
I am enjoying it. It's really fun. I like the overworld map. Oh, speaking of maps, I want to say when you were talking about how bad the Blades of Fire map is, and I mentioned Control, it was on my mind because the overworld map, I was
Uh-huh.
thinking I've not seen a map this bad since Control's map. That overworld map is useless.
Yeah, the one that you press D-pad up to kind of see it from the
Yeah,
top.
it's
Yeah,
useless. That's
that
that
yeah
is a
that map.
useless map.
Yeah, that map is literally just to mark the X of where's the other area, but then won't tell you much points of interest afterwards. It's
Yeah,
all about you exploring
that's
it.
that is useless for sure.
Mhm,
One thing I want to complain about really quickly is
mhm,
I understand the reason for it, but I hate when games give you a smaller amount of experience when your characters are knocked out
mhm,
when it happens. Because I had Gustav go down in a fight on, like, the very first fight on that world map when I got
mhm.
out there.
With like,
It was
the Hulking
optional.
dude, with one of the Hulking
Yeah,
dudes. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, he went down and I revived him, and then he just barely went down again
Oh.
before I finished it. So I went and I just reloaded the save because I'm like, I'm not gonna let Lune get, like, a whole fight worth more experience
Yeah.
than Gustav. Like, I'm not. I hate that. I hate when you do that. Oh, one question for you, because I haven't found it if it exists. There's no save function. Like, you can't save the game, right?
It autosaves.
Right, that's it. It just auto saves.
Yeah, the ways that it autosaves is in the flags that you find sometimes, or if you use
Yeah.
a healing item. And it's per se like,
I think it also auto saves if you change your outfit,
mhm. Yeah, as like if you do something fundamentally changes, autosaves there, and there's a
which is
huge
good.
list, and there's a huge list of
I
autosaves.
saw. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I've used it. I've used that list.
you're gonna save scum at a lot, but there's no
Oh yeah.
decision
Oh
making.
yeah.
Well, uh, technically, there's no decision making that you need to like save scum to kind of see different things. It's pretty like straightforward.
Yeah.
Besides the ending, that's all I'll say.
Interesting.
So, but that doesn't mean it's like that's something that then you can then reload
Yeah.
a previous save and see both at the same time. So
Yeah.
no need
Okay.
for like a double play, and it can be platinumed in one
In
save.
one run, you
Yeah,
said, yeah.
and I would say that despite the big nerf to a nuke build that was kind of like decimating a lot of things, that
Yeah.
build is still it's you're still able to kind of use it just with a few extra steps. So if for some
Okay.
reason then you decide that you kind of want to get that platinum to do like the late game stuff, that it's really the hardest stuff in the game,
Yeah.
that you kind of need that build would still be viable. Just look up like a modern, like, try to make sure that it's of recent times, so it's like this build but
Yeah.
now with this, and you can kind of
Okay.
see how to
We'll
build.
see.
And the beauty of like the combat system of this game, so like with all that picto system and all that, it's like it's so malleable that
Oh
if you're
yeah, it's
creative.
fun.
Yeah.
The Pictos and the Luminas, like all that stuff is fun. I like all that for sure. It's well designed. It's not annoying, and it's like functionality, like it all works pretty
Hmm.
well, and like the menus are solid and clean.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying myself. I look forward to playing it more.
Hmm.
But that's really all I'm gonna say on
Yep.
it now without spoiling anything. And I think we can move into the headlines here.
Absolutely. Time to read the headlines, and you editorialized a few of these. Let's do one each. So even
Sure.
though this is all in your in your prose.
It
So
is in my pros,
yes.
yes.
So for everyone that already knows how Joe likes to editorialize things with a little
I'll start with
context.
this one. I want to
Yes.
start with this one because
Yeah,
it's
do that one.
intentional how it is.
Uh-huh.
Notorious mass studio murderer Electronic Arts has cancelled its previously announced Black Panther video game and has shut down its developer Cliffhanger Games. A survey from a Twitter user has stated that a tweet from a Twitter user on Twitter/X has stated that a survey from EA indicated the game would feature T'Challa's son fighting Skrulls and potential other characters.
Hmm.
So obviously that was done as a Harry Potter.
Yes, like if you're Severus Snape or something, almost.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like Cornelius Fudge when he goes
Hmm.
notorious mass murderer,
Oh
serious
yeah, I
black.
remember now. Yeah,
That's the joke on it. Yeah.
dude, that is so funny because you know who the the people that did the Mordor games that left WB, like that were doing the Wonder Woman game, came to Cliffhanger Games to work on this Black Panther game. When the cancellation of Wonder Woman happened, I remember a lot of the talk was like, hey, because a lot of the core team that made the Mordor war games move over here, that's where that core was. And look forward to that Black Panther game. And you got canned too. That's like incredible. But
It's EA. They
yeah,
shut studios down
the
at the
graveyard's
drop
big.
of a dime.
Yes, and it's like someone updated like a picture of the EA graveyard, and it's still wild. And I still remain befuddled that Bioware, with the many misses that they had like in a row recently, has been able to escape the kind of like the axe like as they've had.
Well,
So
the thing to remember is that Anthem was a critical miss, but it still sold well, and it had the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which did
mhm,
really well critically and commercially. So its
that
only
earned them
real
rope.
miss
Mhm,
was the Veilguard lately,
mhm,
you know.
yeah, and Andromeda before that. So
Well, yeah, but I was starting at Anthem as a sales success because Anthem
mhm,
was sales successful, even if people didn't like the game. It sold a lot.
mhm, yeah.
So,
Yeah, so but that's the thing, like at least from like that PR perspective, other studios that also had like the bad PR
yeah,
on top of like the bad sale, like Sin City sold well, but it was a disaster critically, and that's still like the axe fell on
true.
Max's. So it's like it's still like Visceral never really had big misses technically, but it was kind of like a lesser than that they needed, and they still closed it. And because the Dead Space, like I know people dislike Dead Space 3, it wasn't a
Hmm.
critical disaster, and it still sold well. It's just that they needed a minimum 5 million sales for some reason for it to kind of like break even.
Yeah,
So it was like you overspend in this, like you screwed it by how you managed it. So
yeah,
Bioware has, I feel like Bioware like has been like for as high profile as that studio, like it's considered, especially for 10 years ago winning the game of the year for a
yeah.
game that you like that I don't like
Love,
as much, but exactly you love that game,
I
but you
do.
know that there's strong revisionism against it. It's still like despite that, I feel like the its storied nature of that studio is probably the thing that has kind of held them because like they have had
Yeah.
like the misses they've had is like despite the financial win from Anthem, it's like that's still like three creative misses, like how
Hmm.
people see them. So it's like the
Yeah.
fact that they're still giving them one shot for probably you know why I feel like they're still keeping them alive because they closed so many others. It's like you're gonna be left with so few.
Yeah,
So
they
it's
don't have
probably
anything at that point. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why
So,
I always found funny of when Andrew Wilson last year was like, we're moving on from licensed games. We want to kind of focus on in-house productions instead because obviously we know the Disney license fee is so expensive like overall that that's
onerous.
yeah it's the owners that literally like Outlaws only selling 1 million copies in that first month send Ubisoft in this tailspin. Like Outlaws ruined them.
Yeah.
Like already they were shaky, but that was the one that really sank the
Yeah.
boat for them. So it's like
Yeah, and obviously Assassin's Creed did really well, so that's good for
mhm,
Ubi. But
yeah, that helped them stabilize to do the thing that they did, that they spawned it off and all that because they know
yeah.
that that franchise still had cachet to withstand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
So
like the
that's pretty
cancellation of
much
Black Panther is why I'm like I remember they said that they were only gonna release what they had already announced, which was this Iron Man and the Star Wars game that they still had in development. I'm like, I feel a lot of these are all in danger now. They're probably wanting to get out. Like,
yeah, they
yeah,
do for
yeah,
sure.
so
But that's we'll see. We'll see what happens. T'Challa fighting Skrulls would be cool, I
mhm,
guess, and I don't know what other characters would be there, but
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see.
And what's
We'll see
funny
what
is that
happens
you
with Iron Man.
technically, yeah, it's like what's funny is that T'Challa was gonna fight Skrulls if Marvel's Avengers had done its year two as it was originally
Hmm.
planned. It's so funny
Let's
they're
see.
still trying to do all of that,
Yeah.
but there's still a Black Panther game coming with 1943 Rights of
Yes,
Iron.
that's
So
true. That's
that's
true.
probably why they saw it. It was like, there's already a Black Panther there. Let's get
Yeah.
out. Let's cash out. Let's get out and close this stream
Here's
up.
a hot take for the podcast, Alex. The
Okay.
first Black Panther movie is way overrated, and I think the second one is much better than the first one,
Okay.
actually.
So what's funny is that I don't like the second one as much, but this is the rare time that I'm gonna agree with you. One of the rare times that I'm gonna agree with one of your insane hot takes. This is not a sorted out lawyers gaming takes. Doesn't apply there because I feel the same. I fell asleep watching Black Panther at the theater. Like one of the few times that I fell asleep watching a movie
Yeah,
in a
it's
theater.
not a bad movie or anything, but it's definitely overrated.
Mhm.
I don't find Killmonger to be that compelling of a villain. I don't find him that interesting. I
Yeah,
think
I
he's
like.
still he's well acted, it's a very good performance, but it's still just he's just a bad guy who's angry.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like it's still like in the same mold as Obadiah Stane from Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's still like the mirror, like the evil mirror of like the villain. And in
Yeah.
Black Panther's case, I like I liked RP Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, but I feel like his villain kind of like overtook him. Like kind of, I liked more your villain than the actual hero. And
Yeah.
I do feel that movie was more. I feel it was more kind of like a representation statement. Not like I like representation, but I feel like why it gets so glazed is that it did representation well more than anything.
Yeah,
That
again, I like the second Black Panther. I really think that's a very high quality movie. And I know it got like some people don't like it that much, but
exactly
I
that's
think
more
it's
your hot
better.
takes. Yeah, that's more
Yeah,
your
I do.
hot
I think
take
it's
there.
better. I don't. It's not like amazing, the best Marvel movie ever, but I watched that and I was like, that was really good. And I remember watching Black Panther and I'm like, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
It's just so.
And
All right, next.
you probably saw it because after it got overglazed with like a 97 Rotten
No,
Tomatoes.
I mean I see it like right away.
Uh,
Yeah, usually, but
the reviews were already out, but yeah.
yeah,
So, RIP Black Panther EA, but we still get Amy Hennig's Black Panther game sometime next year. I still believe it when I have that game installed and playing it on
yeah.
console. I'm reading this one. Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, have announced a Pokemon Presents for July 22. Earlier this week, the official Pokemon account on Twitter X announced the release date for the next entry in the Pokemon Legends series ZA for October 16. The Switch 2 version will feature higher resolution and frame rates. Similarly, they announced that the Switch 2 free patch for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will have improved frame rate, visuals, draw distance, movement per Wario 64, and that one's gonna be at the launch of the console
Yeah.
next week. So
Yeah, this one didn't have anything clever in it. There was just too much to say. There
yeah,
was so much Nintendo stuff. I just kind of compressed it into one
mm,
big bullet point for us
yeah,
about
we're
Pokemon.
yeah. It's like it's so weird to think that we're 1 week away from the release of a new Nintendo console, and it's
Yeah,
like we're
right?
getting all this amount of info at the same time, but it doesn't feel like we're getting the next Nintendo console. It's like we're like in this weird in between for some reason. It's weird. It's a weird vibe
Yeah.
heading into the Switch 2. I do feel the fact that it's next to SGF is the reason why it doesn't feel as momentous because we're already looking for SGF too. So it's like everything's competing for space now.
Yeah.
So, you excited for this one?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I've got the Switch 2 coming.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I've got the Switch 2 pretty much for the Pokemon games is why it's worth buying a Switch 2 for me. And then maybe Monolith will make Xenoblade playable.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, Jane gets to
It
use Switch 2 whenever
technically
she
is
wants.
playable. All things
Yeah.
considered.
I mean,
So,
playable, like enjoyable,
yeah.
playable. But yeah, so we'll see about that. But yeah, I'm excited for this. I really liked Arceus. Arceus was really fun. I didn't like 100% the Pokédex or the
Mhm,
research levels or any of that stuff because that would be crazy
mhm.
to do. Because just like why, like just catching the things with no like there was nothing really behind it. So I didn't bother with that. But I enjoyed playing it at the time. It was a lot of fun, and
Mhm.
I'm looking more forward to the Scarlet and Violet patch than anything else because I want to actually play the game that I bought.
Yeah, I want to see that, and because I want to see how improved are the framers. Are you just getting it finally to lock 30? Are you going all the way to 60? Like that game was just so technically compromised. It's not even
It
fun.
was. It was a mess
Yes.
from the like hour that I played. So, and I mean, I don't know when I'll get to it, even though it's a launch day patch. Because again, I have so many other things, and we're 3 days from June, which means we're 3 days from Infinite Wealth Month, which
Mhm.
I'll take on
And your
at
little
some
break,
point. I
and
got
your little break for Mind's Side that you
right. I
still
got
kind of
Mind's
want to
Eye.
check.
That's in like 2 weeks or 10 days or something. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming to play. But yeah, I'm excited for this just because
Mhm.
I love Pokemon stuff.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that I'll go, yeah, there's a nostalgia level there for sure. Like Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball. I think Dragon Ball is actually high quality. I don't think that Dragon Ball is like a nostalgia thing where I just like it because of my childhood. I think it actually is very good. Pokemon is definitely a nostalgia thing for me, for
Yeah.
sure. I can admit that.
Everyone got that, and to be fair with Dragon Ball, they still release a bunch of stuff, new stuff.
I'm,
Like
I'm still I'm still working through Super. I never even
yeah,
finished Super. I just watched another one last night. I'm almost to the end.
people
I got like
love
22
yeah,
episodes.
people love Broly in 2019. So it's like it's still a
I,
lot of
yeah.
modern stuff. And Daimyo, I
Oh
think
yeah.
is the
Daima, yep, Daima. I went and saw the Daima thing in theaters. I'm not caught up on Super, but it's in theaters. Dragon Ball's in theaters. I go to see it. Doesn't matter how caught up I am. I saw Super Hero. I'm still
yeah,
not done with Super, but I don't care. I'm gonna see it in theaters
yeah,
because it's
long live
Dragon Ball.
Dragon
So
Ball.
yeah. Rest in
So
peace, Akira Toriyama.
yes, next headline, you read it.
All right. Cyberpunk 2077 sequel, formerly known as Project Orion, has an official, if less interesting and potentially confusing title, Cyberpunk 2, and is officially in pre-production, with development headed by its North American branch located in Boston and Vancouver. CD Projekt has also revealed that the 2077 expansion Phantom Liberty sold 10 million copies during its Q1 financial report. All I can say is wicked cool.
10 million copies out of last reported 30 million total sales for base Cyberpunk 2077. So it's like a
And just so we're clear, wicked cool is a Boston joke because
yeah.
they're Boston based.
I didn't quite catch that, but that
I
makes
know,
sense.
that's why I'm letting you know. But wicked is a very, very common phrase in Boston. That wicked car, that
Ah,
sort of thing.
I I think I've heard it in Assassin's Creed 3 when you're in Boston. I think they use Wicked like there. So I could be
Probably. Or
wrong,
if
but
you've seen anything with Mark Wahlberg ever.
probably that's probably where I heard it
Have you
too.
seen Ted or Ted 2?
Oh yeah.
There you go.
So they had
That's really
now
cool.
yeah 3 years ago I remember reading the news story with Paul actually when they said that they were like like building their branches in the United States because they kind of wanted to grab a lot of the talent that was like from Bethesda, like the pool of like
Yeah.
Maryland and all that for them to kind of go uh to Boston to work if they were interested in like putting that in their resume and kind of
Yeah.
tapping into that pool of Western RPGs. Is like obviously the Western RPG got was big and it's big in the US. It's made there. So
Yeah.
besides the KCDs that were built in Europe and Dying Lights too. So
Yeah.
uh,
This is exciting because like everyone knows, I still haven't played Cyberpunk yet. It's on my list. I'll get there. I know
I
you haven't
haven't
either.
finished it too. So it's like it's still kind of
Yeah.
like a shame, a point of
Yeah.
shame. Like I have many points of shame that this one that we share in the Western.
Yeah, but Phantom Liberty is supposed to be really good. I'm excited to get there at some point. I will get there at some point. Maybe I'll fit it in this year sometime. It depends.
Do you feel like knowing when the sequel comes out will kind of like help you push to do the first? Because I feel that was gonna
Yeah, I
help me
mean
too. Yeah.
if I know the sequel's coming out and I haven't played it yet, I will definitely play it before the sequel is out for
Mhm.
sure. I
Yeah.
mean that's just a requirement.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm really curious to see how this game is gonna work on UE5 now because they're moving tech. They're not
yeah, they
doing
switched from Red Engine, yeah.
yeah, and
Stutters abound.
the more like I remember when I heard that 3 years ago, I was like, that's exciting because like the fresh new tech. Now that we have like many years under our belt where we see like that engine has been like low resolution on console because like of all its tech and all that, I'm like, I feel less enthused about UE5, but if it helps them with like the tools necessary to not make it buggy or like as disastrously buggy as it was
Yeah, I'm just still
initially.
concerned about stuttering. I don't want
Mhm.
it to stutter.
Yeah, stutter. I feel like it's become more of a prescient concern than bugs at this
For
point.
sure. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but hopefully this means that it's not that far off. Like we know Witcher 4 is gonna
I mean,
go
it's in
first.
pre-production. It's
Yeah.
not, it's still like probably 4 to 5 years away in
Hmm.
pre-production because The Witcher is going to be probably 27.
Yeah.
I would guess if they're having a trailer for it, it's 27
Yeah,
or 28.
and pre-production like recently because I was in the mood because I finished watching The Last of Us season 2, which you can go watch me and review and Rick put a scalpel on that entire season. Like I went back and watched the Grounded 2 making of Last of Us Part 2 and like for example that
Yeah.
game started full development until 2018 and it had like a 2 year pre-production like time from like even around the time when Uncharted 4 was about to come out. So it's like 2 years of like that pre-production, even when they reveal the trailer. So it's like
Yeah.
full production tends to not be too long of a development cycle. So I could imagine if we get Witcher 4 in 2027, 2028, 2 years later, maybe we get this, probably
Yeah,
2030.
the real question that is the elephant in the room is the Witcher remake, which we know
Mhm.
exists. They've announced it exists.
Yeah.
It's just and they bought Molasses Flood, who were
Mhm.
doing it, and then I
Yeah.
think they shut it down and they took it
Uh,
the rest of it in-house. So
yes.
I don't know. I mean, I don't doubt that it's being made. I trust them to make the game. I just don't know when it's gonna come, and that's the question. Because I love The Witcher 1. The Witcher
Hmm.
1 is a crazy good game, especially considering it's a 2007 game, how weird it is and
Hmm.
how extensive. I will say, I never played the original of it. I only played the enhanced one where they like redid the voices and actually made it good.
Hmm.
But I love that game. I'm guessing you've never played it, have you, Alex?
Witcher 1, no. Yeah. I
Yeah.
never had
Did
it
you play
available.
two?
On 360, never finished it,
Okay.
but I played it. So,
Yeah, one is wild. It is you have a slow and fast combat stance or a heavy
mhm,
and fast combat stance, and you have to change your combat stance based on the enemies that you're fighting. It's
mhm,
like cat and wolf basically.
yeah,
And it is a wild game
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, to
I'm
me,
curious what they do with it.
yeah, to me, like especially because you didn't put it here, but because it was in the same like financial Q1 financial report, Witcher 3 has sold 60 million copies,
Yeah,
just
yeah, I
Witcher
saw that.
3.
Yeah.
And to me, that's pretty impressive for a series that's just not widely available. Like it's the third game that for many people it was their only game that they played, and it's just that
They did a
popular.
good job making it accessible.
Standalone.
It's yeah, they did a really good job making it standalone there. Absolutely. And I hope that the new remake is successful because more people deserve to play that
Hmm.
storyline because it's a really good story. And I would be curious to see if they do any retcons or cleanups because the storyline is really, really
Hmm.
wacky in that game. And the you remember like the Sacred Flame cult
Uh-huh.
and all that stuff that's in 3, like that's a huge part of the first game, like a ginormous part of the first game. And I don't really in my brain reconcile their connection to one another in the first game to the third one, but yeah, we'll see.
Hmm.
I'm glad that Cyberpunk has done well, even though I haven't played it yet, just because I like CDPR and their
Hmm.
games and The Witcher. I'm itching, man. I'm itching for that remake because I really love those games in that game, and it's been 10 years since we've had new Witcher stuff.
Yeah, and that game is locked on PC, so I kind of want to have it just for it to be
Yeah.
like on console, and then I have kind of like
Yep.
at least, even with whatever how, no matter how old two will feel at the very least, I will have kind of like a through line because remember I
Yeah.
still haven't finished Witcher 3 because I have a problem with the sticking with the WRPGs with like getting distracted for some reason. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but it's like that would be like, hey, finally the trilogy and four looks phenomenal with what we know is with what we look that they say that's how they want that game to look. I know that's sometimes over promising, over promising, but I'm like, I feel
Yeah.
like tech is getting to that point where I don't distrust that they could try to aim for that based on like what they
Right.
said. So
Hmm.
excited for CD Projekt Red. It's like at least they're
Yeah.
still riding their wave of redemption after their disaster. So
Yeah.
I get this one, which is fitting.
Dudes.
Geoff Keighley's Summer Game Fest is less than a week away, and SGF has announced it has over 60 partners, including the return of Nintendo. Do you notice EA was not on that list? Ha! Because what do they have to show? Nothing.
Yeah.
So,
I wrote less than a week away. I thought that it started on Thursday because that's when you guys get there, but I guess the showcase is
it's
on
gonna be the
Friday.
yeah, it's gonna be like when this episode posts, it's gonna be that Friday, like
Yeah,
afterward, the
so
Friday
yeah,
after.
so it'll be 1 week away when we post this. I thought it was coming because normally his stuff is on Thursday. It's been on Thursday like every other year, and now he's
Mhm.
doing it Friday.
Yeah, I wonder if he did this time because the Nintendo Switch launch was Thursday and
That
Nintendo
could be.
was
He
gonna be
probably
here,
had the
so
inside track.
yeah, and we know that there's rumors that a Nintendo Direct is supposed to happen kind of close to coincide this, which makes sense because it kind of need to fill out the release calendar. We know some of their stuff for this year, but they kind of need to say more. And I know for your fantasies, I still,
Mario,
yeah, I
mainline
feel.
3D Mario, mainline 3D
Look,
Mario,
I feel it's
please.
gonna, yeah, I feel it's gonna be revealed. I doubt it's this year at this point. Like, I feel like,
If it does, they could do it December. They did Smash in December. You know, if Pokemon's in October, Smash could be. You know,
Mhm.
they could have it in December. I would
I,
not put it past them.
I could see it in desperation. They could.
Yeah.
So bad. We'll see.
I didn't look super close detail at the list. I just immediately saw that EA was not on there because they
Mhm.
announced it like the same day that EA announced the Black Panther cancellation.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, I wonder if EA is there. And nope, EA is not on that list.
Yeah,
That is
I'll pull it
not
up.
surprised.
So yeah, I see it here. So
No, not surprising.
yeah, so it's like the partners that I'm gonna read them from. If you go to Twitter and just put Geoff Keighley, he has a pin in his at the top. So right now, who's confirmed is 1047 Games, 2K, 505 Games, Amazing Season Games, Amazon Games, Annapurna Interactive, Atari, Bandai Namco, Bellring Games, Bloomhouse Games, so they're coming back, Capcom, wink wink, CD Projekt Red, Coffee Stain, Day of the Depths is gonna be there, Devolver Digital, I think.
CDPR might.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was
yeah,
just gonna say CDPR might do The Witcher there. Who knows?
yeah. Digital Extremes, they were there last time too. Doremu, makes sense because of the Marvel side scroller that they're doing. They keep doing all this like old school like arcade styles. Dreamhaven, Embark, Enhance, Epic Games, Focus Entertainment, Frontier, Funcom, I Am 8-Bit, IOI. So I'm like, will Bond be there?
Could be.
Yeah, it could be. Kakao Games, Kinetic Games, Kuro Games, Level Infinite, Magic the Gathering, Megabit, MetaQuest, sorry, NC, Neki, I think is what it says, Neowitz, Nexon, Niantic, Nintendo Switch 2. It's so funny how they put it like instead of just Nintendo. Nuverse, Pearl Abyss, Playside, Playstack, PlayStation, PM Studios, Racer, Sega, Software Reigns, Square Enix, Steam,
That's got to be the 9 announcement.
yes, Supermassive Games, Techland, Xbox, Exola, and Jack Club Games.
No, Nacon. Nacon wasn't on there.
Yeah, Nikon wasn't here, though he said
Interesting.
that this is round one of the partners. So
That's true.
yeah, so this is more partners than he had last year, from what I remember. It's like this looks bigger. So it's kind of like I said. I feel like people finally get it that this is E3, so might as well kind of
Yeah,
show.
maybe EA will be on the second round list, but
Yeah,
EA is huge and they weren't on the first one, so
yeah, and I'll just say I know a few of things that are gonna be here, but I'm just gonna remain mum about what it is. But I'm very excited, and I feel Xbox is just here because they always partner with the stream that they do on
Yeah.
Sunday. So that's probably like the thing. PlayStation wasn't really here last time. In 2023, they were here to reveal the Spider-Man 2 release date, and Rebirth was there, so that's technically by proxy their game, and
Yeah, and
that
they
was
they
Square Enix.
also they also did the Deviation Games thing that time,
Yeah, when they
remember? That
revealed
was
the
funny.
studio, yeah, when they revealed the studio
And
with
then
that
they
game.
also did the Last of Us Online once at
Yes.
SGF too. So
Yeah, then that was in
not
2022.
their best
So
track record at SGF.
yes, it's been like well, only technically revealed on this release day for Spider-Man 2, which because they didn't
Yeah.
they held this for here instead of putting it in the showcase. So
Yeah.
the last batch showcase. At least now we know it's still a lot of things. So that at least should have something at that
Yeah.
showcase. So
Oh yeah.
I'll be there. I'll be close to the front line.
Braggart.
Yeah.
Braggart, you
So,
braggart, you.
yeah, so it's gonna be fun. But now next headline is you.
Yes. Apple purchases its first video game developer, RAC7, the team behind Sneaky Sasquatch, which launched on Apple Arcade in 2019, but they promised, cross their heart and hope to die, that it's not a trend.
The sneaky Sasquatch trend.
No, I
Oh,
mean the
the
purchasing
purchase.
studios,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's weird because Apple is such a weird. Are they really in or not with gaming? Or I would say they are to blame
They're
for the
in
introduction
now.
of yeah. But that's the thing. Is like they always say they are, but they're always so like inching close. They'd be like, oh, now you can play Resident Evil 4 on your iPhone and things like that. So it's like
Yeah, that's true.
it just never feels
Forgot
like a
about that.
platform. It does never feels like a legit platform to really make your gaming compared to like what people
Yeah.
love playing and with their Candy Crushes and things like that. So I hope. I mean, I really don't care. I use
I
Apple
don't
like
either. I don't
yeah,
have anything to say. I just thought it was funny that they
yeah,
promised it wasn't a trend and I could make the joke.
and I
I
say
don't
that
care.
as an owner of one of their products. So it's like I don't care that they're
Not
not
an
for gaming.
owner.
So I take this one. Nintendo has updated its statements regarding which Switch games have issues on Switch 2, stating that 75% of games released on Switch have been so far, and 170 have issues of some sort. How is that possible? We'll never know.
Yeah,
Uh,
sorry, I should have said have been tested so
yeah, haven't
far, but
tested.
yeah.
Yeah, yes. I know this 170 issues have. They already said that by launch they're all gonna have patch. They want patches that are gonna like sort
Is
that
it all
out.
of them or some of them? Because
If you look,
obviously,
there's a
including the ones
list.
that are, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a list, right? That's what I was gonna say. Because obviously, the ones that are not gonna work at all are not gonna have patches, like the
Mhm.
Labo stuff.
Yeah, they did confirm Ring Fit Adventure will work as long as you have your Joy Cons from Switch One like still with you.
Yeah,
So
for the
there's
fit, yeah.
yeah, so there's still gonna be like some games that you may still need the hardware from the old one to make it work on the new one.
Yeah.
And you go check the list of the games that I say that they're gonna have like the day one patch. But thankfully, looking at the list, I don't think these are the games to worry about that they're not there. But at the very least, it's like they're still saying that they're trying to make it work. So
Yeah, I
last
just don't understand what they could have done differently that made this not work completely. That's where I'm just
I wonder if it's
lost.
the switching from a Tegra chip from Samsung into whatever they're doing now that probably did it.
But
So
they're all NVIDIA based hardware. It was NVIDIA before, it's NVIDIA now. It's,
no, Nvidia wasn't before. Nvidia
Yeah, it
did.
was
Yeah,
NVIDIA.
what
It
was
was
it?
NVIDIA's chip. It's NVIDIA's hardware. Like, because the only chip makers are Intel, NVIDIA, and AMD. AMD powers Microsoft and
Mhm.
Sony stuff, but NVIDIA's Tegra is the one that
Okay, because I remember hearing it was Samsung, so I didn't know if it was
Samsung is
also.
the manufacturer of the chip, but the
Okay,
actual architecture of the chip is an NVIDIA chip. It has to be
makes
because
sense. Okay.
Samsung doesn't make chips. If Samsung made chips, they would have their own chips in their own phones, but their phones use Qualcomm. They use Snapdragon.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not much of a tech. I just remember just hearing
Yeah.
that. So that's like the only way that would make sense for me, especially when you know that the chip that they used was 2010, 2012 tech.
Yeah, the Switch
So,
2, the SoC is an NVIDIA Tegra T239 on the
mm,
Switch 2, and
mm,
the Switch 1 is a custom Tegra X1 SoC.
okay.
So,
That's why there was like more Samsung branding over that one because it was a very specific one, and this one
yes,
seems more kind of like chip available, not quite as custom made. So
custom. Yeah,
that's probably what's causing some
it could be. It
some
definitely could be.
it's like building the cell processor in PS3 and moving to more normal PC architecture to PS4 with
Yeah.
all of that. It's like there's something
It's just Tegra to
weird.
Tegra shouldn't have had that kind of a problem, I wouldn't think, but I
Yeah,
mean maybe it
yeah.
did.
The custom
Maybe
is
it
like
was
what
that
screws up.
custom. Yeah, it could have been very custom. That's true.
Yes. So, but hey, at least they're working on it. At the very least, I saw that list, and none of the games that I know are big on Switch that you would probably want them to move forward have this
Yeah.
compatibility issues. So, and that's at least good. But it still feels bad hearing when something's not compatible. I remember my fear with PS5 with
Yeah.
that for a while when Assassin's Creed Syndicate was just not working on PS5
Yep.
with
Yep.
their flickering light. So, you get this next one.
Sony has kicked off its annual Days of Play sale, offering massive discounts on digital and physical games, including the first drop for PS5 Pro since it launched in November of 2024. Way to kick the competition while it's down, Sony.
I have to commend them that even though it's temporary, the optic win that they're getting of even though it's just for 2 weeks, and they always do sales for Days of Play. You're already a student of Days of Play. In fact, like you showed me that you tried the trend of the sale figure for
Yeah,
Infinite Wealth.
I'll say what I did.
Explain it.
So I own Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth physically, but the physical version is only like the base game. They don't offer a full version of the game physically with all the extra stuff that you get in the Legendary Edition.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have that for my collection, and what I want to do is just buy the Legendary Edition again.
Mm-hmm.
Or not again, but just buy the Legendary Edition. Then I'll get the base game and I'll have the whole thing digitally, and then I'll have two copies, which whatever, I don't care. It's fine. It's Yakuza. I love them. I own like 4 copies of the games across the board, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was doing was looking at the sales over the last couple of months, knowing that June is Infinite Wealth month for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was preparing to purchase it, and I saw that it was 50% off, and I'm like, okay, 50% off. But I was like, all right, it'll probably be lower later on. So we get into the sale that was just over at like the end of April through early May, and it was on sale. So I looked,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 50% off. So I'm like, is it gonna get lower in Days of Play? Maybe, because that's another month. So what I ended up doing was going back to the last mainline, not Judgment, because Lost Judgment came out, but the last mainline Yakuza Like a Dragon, which came out in November of 2020 on everything but PS5,
Mm-hmm.
and it came out in March of 2021 on PS5. So November of 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and saw when did it drop below 50%. So I went and I looked, and the first sale that Yakuza Like a Dragon dropped below 50%, according to the PS Charts history, which is a website you can Google public information. The first time that it dropped below 50% off, which it was $89.99, the first time it went lower than half of that, was March of 2022, which is 14 months after its original launch. So what is 14 months? So when did Infinite Wealth launch?
February.
January of
Yeah.
2023. What is 14 months after January? It is the end of May, early June.
Mm-hmm.
Bingo. 60% off. Saved myself $11 when I buy it.
And it's so funny because I feel it's such case by case basis, and you got lucky here by honing in on the Yakuza kind of like trajectory of like this of the sales chart,
Yep.
because many games don't usually do that. Like
Yeah, you're right. It was a gamble. It was a gamble. I mean, at worst, it wasn't going to be more expensive than 50% off. It would have been, 50% off again. Then I would have said, oh well, I just waited. Like, there's no harm in waiting
Yeah.
to see if I'm right, and
Yeah,
I was.
I bought Infinite Wealth. Like Infinite Wealth got its first sale, if I remember, in early April, because I bought it at the same
Tell you
time
exactly
as I.
when.
Yeah, you can tell me because it was like whenever it was the first time they got to sell the base, just the base version because I bought it at the same time I bought Rise of the Ronin because I was watching streamer Rumi play it. That because originally I was not gonna buy it because I was like I already have Dragon's Dogma because the two came out the same day, and tell me.
Yeah, its very first sale was March 26th on the
Yes,
PSN store.
that makes sense because Rise of the Ronin came out on March 22nd, and I had bought with Paul in our arrangement that we like split games. We had bought Dragon's Dogma 2, and when the reviews for Rise of the Ronin came out at like a 76, we were like, yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
But then I started watching streams, and I was like, hmm. And then I had realized that I had a bunch of points from PS Stars that I had not used yet at the point, and I
Hmm.
was like, I kind of have enough, and I had enough to kind of like buy it both of them like with a good discount on top of the discount. So that's when I
Yeah.
bought Infinite
Yeah.
Wealth, even though
So,
I never really played it. It was like I
yeah.
was like
So
might as well have it. So
it was a sale down to 52.49 from its standard price of 69.99. And then if you'd waited just an extra 2 months though, or 3 months, because from March to the start of May, so I guess like 3.5 months or whatever, it dropped to 48.99.
hmm
And then it had two sales at 45.49, and then it dropped to 41 in September, and
hmm
then October it was 34, and then the lowest it got was $34 in October of 2024, and it was there for five different sales from October through April of 24.
yeah, they put it on sale really quickly for a game that
They
sold
always
really
do.
well. Yeah, so
They always do. Yeah, their games go on sale quick. And now it is $27.99. If you have any sense, buy this game. I'm sure it's amazing. I haven't even played it yet, but all these games are
I
awesome.
believe
So
everyone that likes Yakuza and enjoys Infinite Wealth. So I own them all. One day I'll play them, but I
play
own them.
them. We should make it a bet. We should make it the stakes of a bet where you have to like play it and then I'll play, I don't know, something horrible if I lose the bet. Something that I can't stand. I'll play like Metal Gear or something
Yeah.
on PS1. Something
Oh
like
man, that would be
that.
funny if you had to submit yourself to like a game that you have zero context for. Like
Yeah.
that's also so old. It's like those games are rougher when you have zero rose tinted glasses
Yeah,
for.
I'm
So
sure.
I'll take
Oh
this
boy. So
other.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take this
Days of
other one.
Play. Check it out, everyone. Check it
And
out. Physical
if you
games
have,
too.
yeah, and if you have not bought a PS5 yet, it's actually now cheaper than the 1 terabyte Xbox Series S with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 included.
Yeah, 3.99, right?
399. So 1 terabyte having Black Ops 6 there is like they're still like even after the purchase, they're like the de facto place to play Call of Duty if you want. So yeah, you go buy them. So I'll read now the last one. I mean, no, sorry, the next one.
Next one, yeah.
Yeah, Koei Tecmo has revealed that a standard USB mouse will function on the Switch 2 in case you have adult hands and want to use a big boy mouse. I think that's actually kind of cool. That it's like there's already the mouse functionality like baked into the system.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to do just a Logitech or whatever mouse you
Yeah.
have, so
The joke I was debating was between the big boy mouse joke here or the fact that Nintendo actually beat Sony to some sort of technological
yeah.
common sense thing because you can't do that on anything for Sony stuff yet. So,
Yeah, I
but I
think
went
you
with the
could
big
use
boy hands.
specific. Yeah, you can use specific mouses that actually work or whatever keyboard that you're. But
I
I
think
would
you
have
can
to
use
double
a
check.
keyboard to type, but I don't think you can use a mouse to control things. I could be wrong,
Mhm.
but it's not a general across the board functionality the way that it seems to be on the Switch 2, which is
Mhm.
cool.
Makes
That's a,
sense.
that's a good feature. Switch 2 has a good thing. I
hmm
can give credit where it's due. That's a good addition
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean that means that they're going all in with that functionality. So
Yeah,
like it.
yeah.
So next one is yours, and it's fitting. Speaking of Yakuza,
Yakuza 0 Director's Cut will bring some closure to loose ends of the original game, according to the real voice cast in an interview on the Ryuga Gotoku YouTube channel and translated by Automaton and not those English-speaking posers.
so explain this to me. So it's like the prequel, which is Yakuza Zero, still had loose ends, but they were never covered in like the later like mainline games that you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I'm not sure. I know the game pretty well, but I don't know what they would consider loose ends. I don't know what they don't feel they tied up well.
Mhm.
It could be anything because it's such a big game. It's a long like that is the longest of the stories between
Mhm.
like Kiwami, and even it's longer than two, and it's definitely longer than three. It's not until
Shorter
you
than
start getting
five. Shorter than
yeah,
five. Though.
it's not until you get into four and five that you're getting into a story that's similar length to it. So I don't know which loose ends they're specifically referring to. I'm curious. I'll obviously watch those cutscenes, and if they release this for PS5, or
Mm,
hopefully they do it as like an upgrade or an update or something, that would be really
yeah,
nice.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for confirmation for that because if I waited this long to play Yakuza 0, I need to see like might as well get all the content now.
The
But
thing is, I don't know what it would consider a loose end. Like I felt pretty satisfied by that
mhm,
story in my playthrough of it, um, playthroughs of it, because you
mhm,
have to play it an extra time for the platinum. So I'm not sure, but we'll see what it is.
yeah,
And then obviously my joke there being the English speaking voice acting posers, not
yes,
the you know,
not the
are not the
original
real
like
voices. Yeah, they're not
BS.
the real voice cast.
Yeah, I'm interested to see like they tested Yakuza Zero Director's Cut on the Switch 2 events, and they didn't have many positive things to say about its performance.
Mm.
So hopefully they cleaned it up in between, in like in 3 months, things can be fixed. That's the thing.
Yeah,
So
hopefully.
yeah, I want to see like if it's good enough, and I want to see if the directors. I want to hear if the director's cut content, besides kind of like that multiplayer thing that they teased,
Yeah, the
is
battle mode thing. Yeah.
yeah. I want to hear that if the director's cut thing is worthy of play. If not, I'll just stick to the PS4 version that I have. It runs well, it plays well already.
And you can
So
get a platinum.
nah, I'm more. I really need to see if I love the game if I'm gonna go for it. If I don't love it, I'm just
I'll teach you mahjong, Alex. Don't worry. I'll teach you mahjong.
yeah. Finally, I'll read the final one. Nakon has acquired the rights to Rally Championship after notorious mass studio murderer Electronic Arts. Yes, we made that joke twice here. Shutters production on the franchise most recently developed by Codemasters. Maybe we'll get a Bioware style RPG from Nacon in the WRC universe. The joke there is Nacon owns spiders. So now that makes sense why you were asking me about Nacon, because I think you still wanna know if Greedfall 2 is still a thing, right?
I mean, it's in early access. They just did a huge patch for it. I'm just curious if they were going to promote it at all. But yeah, that is why I was thinking of
Yeah.
Nacon is I love spiders. Specifically, I love Greedfall. Bound by Flame is fine. I never played Technomancer. I know people like Technomancer, but I really, really loved Greedfall. So yeah,
By
I
the
don't have
way,
much to say. Sorry, go
would
ahead.
a Nacon have like what's the logo for Nacon? Is it NC? Check
Let's
it.
see.
See, let
Nacon
me see.
logo.
Yeah.
No, they spell out Nacon like
Oh,
fully.
okay. Yeah, because I saw there was like an NC, like when you got to like the end side of like the partners. Maybe eventually they make it to round two, but
Yeah, no, Nacon, like in their logo, it's a full, it kind of looks like a tongue, and then
mm,
it's Nacon.
mm,
Looks
oh
like a
well.
creepy tongue. That's weird.
Well, I guess that no Greedfall 2 so far. But hey,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
knows?
I
And
like their old name better. They used to be called Big Ben Interactive. That's a much
mm,
better name than Nacon. I don't know why they switched it to Nacon. It's stupid.
yeah, Nacon feels like there's for some reason there we always make this joke here in El Salvador that you hear the names and you know that they sound Chinese or they sound like from in Asia from Eastern market, and that just
Yeah.
screams cheap.
Yeah,
Like for some
Nacon
reason.
kind of just reminds me of the explosive material napalm, which
Hmm.
is not a good association to have with your brand.
Oh man.
A fiery burning substance that's used in war, but it
Mhm.
definitely makes me think of napalm more than anything else.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
But well,
yeah. I don't have too much to say on this one here. I don't play World Rally Championship games.
yeah.
I know that there are a lot of people who really like them. Uh, Specifically, I don't know if you follow Game Over 30 Rally Car Delta on Twitter. He's an
I see
acquaintance
him. I don't
of
think I follow him, but I see him like I think when you reply or when Ho replies,
yeah, yeah.
or
He's an
I see.
acquaintance of ours. Like I think he knows Hogue a little bit. Hogue knows him a little bit better than I do, but
Mhm.
I've chatted with him a little bit on
Yeah.
Twitter. And he's a huge rally fan. That's why his other, Rally Car Delta, like, so he loves that stuff, and he's always tweeting about WRC. So yeah, I mean, it's just more EA bungling things. That's really all it comes down to. It's just EA bungles another multi-$100 million purchase,
Yeah, and the
over billion
Codemasters,
dollar
yeah, the
purchase, 1.2
Codemasters,
billion.
yeah, the Codemasters thing really pisses me off because they outbid 2K, I think it was.
Yeah, 2K or Take Two, one of the entities there. Yeah,
Yeah, they outbid them to get them, and then still they just then like folded them, like closed them, whatever they did to Codemasters. Like they really are a Grim Reaper. Like I hate when I hear that they acquire something because like they never, the things that are still alive for some reason. There is like it's just a miracle there. They,
yeah. If I ever became suddenly extremely wealthy, I would be making proposals to EA to purchase BioWare out from their grasps.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yes.
that would be my first action as suddenly super wealthy man.
It
Secure BioWare.
yeah, it just bums me out, especially because a lot of that core talent, so much of it has gone that it's just more. It feels like it's just a name being carried instead of like
Yeah, but you know
the
what? The
core.
people aren't dead. You can
Yeah.
hire them back.
Yes.
If suddenly if suddenly super rich me was able to, buy BioWare, the studio name and the IP, I'm pretty sure that I could go and grab the employees, or at
Yeah.
least some of them who wanted to come
Yeah.
back.
Unless they already moved on to bigger, better pastures
Right,
that
like,
are
like I
more
said, some
convenient.
of them. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if Mike Laidlaw would come back or David Gator with their own studios, but maybe Mark Dara would come back
Yeah.
with better leadership.
And speaking of, like, we haven't heard like I know they gave us the roadmap for Eternal Strands. What they were I
Yeah,
don't know, had they completed it yet, or are we still kind of
not that I
halfway
know of. I
through?
haven't
Yeah.
seen anything on it yet.
Yeah, it just feels like a game that it just feels so long ago now because it was long ago. It
It
was
was.
five
I mean, it
months
was a while
ago.
ago. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
It was a few months for
yeah,
sure.
good game though.
Um,
So
it was. It was definitely a good game. Let's see if there's anything on the Yellow Brick Twitter here about it. The
mhm,
last tweet, um, something about signing up for a workshop of some sort. I don't know what that
mhm,
is. So they did a hot fix,
mhm,
just a week ago. They had some hot fixes about a what's new pop up. Celestial scope power now target all limbs on an
mhm,
epic, and trophy description for Titanfall has been updated for more accuracy and
mhm.
minor bug fixes. So they're still going. They're still going
Okay,
at
yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm
Their
just
roadmap here, the
I just hope
roadmap
that they were
itself,
successful enough for them to continue.
yeah,
That's all my hope.
the
So
roadmap itself is not until spring 2025. So we still have another month before the Final Fantasy stuff is supposed to
mhm.
be done, and then summer kicks off with you know,
The Grasshopper manufacturer
yeah, the Grasshopper one, and sometime in
crossover.
summer. So yeah, so we've got they're still within spring. They're still in their window. So
Cool.
yeah,
Good, good,
and that's
good
that.
feeling. That's one game that maybe I will go back after all these patches, and I might get a platinum for that because I did enjoy Eternal
Oh yeah,
Strands.
it's a good
So
game. I really liked it a lot.
yes, and that ends our show now. Joe, read us the
Well, that
release
ends the news. We
dates.
still have the
Yeah,
release dates. Yeah, this is a
so,
part of the show.
go
All
for
right,
it.
everybody, sit down,
It's a long one, so
relax. We got a
either
long one with a console launch coming out in a week from when we're recording this. So
mhm,
I'm
go for
gonna
it.
sit up. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Deltarune Chapter 1, Deltarune Chapter 2, Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4 all come to PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th, with 3 and 4 coming to PS4, Switch 1, and PC as well. They were not out previously.
Hmm.
Fast Fusion comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Fortnite comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Hogwarts Legacy comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Mario Kart World comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. The Nintendo Switch 2 is out on June 5th.
Basically, Joe, just read that because everything's June 5th
No, we're almost
besides
done. We're
besides
almost there.
the
I'm
last
going. I'm
one.
going for each one. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition comes to PS5 Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Sonic X Shadow Generations comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Split Fiction comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Street Fighter 6 comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Gate Rune, and Dune and Unification Wars comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Survival Kids comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut comes to Nintendo Switch 2 on June 5th. And Dragon is Dead comes to PC on June 6th.
Yeah, a big full-on Nintendo Switch 2 extravaganza for next week. Everyone decided we're not gonna release anything else here other than what's like Switch 2 or Switch 2 associated. And looking
Or
at
Dragon
that,
is Dead for some
yes,
reason.
and looking at that entire list, I've already played a lot of these games. So it's like the only thing that for me is Switch 2, Mario Kart World, and the patches, like the upgrade paths for Zeldas. That's my Switch
Yeah.
2 launch experience until Donkey Kong and in July in July, but then like we're finally gonna start getting games again the week after. Like Dune comes out the week after, but you'll get to that next week when you read
Yeah.
the things. So
Yeah, I'm with you. Mario Kart's the only thing even remotely
mhm,
interesting on that list because it just comes with the
mhm.
console that I purchased.
Yeah,
I'll maybe check. I mean,
I don't even yeah.
at the very least, I'll check it out to check it out. You
Mhm.
know, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do wonder how many people are gonna buy the Mario Kart bundle and then sell the
The code.
code and just like make $30.
Oh man, that'd be funny. But it's like it gets so complicated with like the it being an $80 physical like release if you don't buy it. Like I got here's the story. My brother-in-law got me the pre-order. He gave the $50 for GameStop for like the pre-order.
Hmm.
Target is supposed to have like walk-in, like they're gonna have stock supposedly. I arrive on the US on June
Good
5th.
luck.
If there's a Target close to where I'm staying, I'm gonna walk in and see there if it's there, buy it. Like if it just happens to be there, I'll be like, I'll get it now, and then tell my brother-in-law that one's yours. Go see if you wanna get it for
Yeah.
you and my for you and my sister. But besides that, like I didn't buy Mario Kart World, so I would have to pay the 80. And I'm like, I'm still like having bought it by myself. I now think about it more because like, damn, it's an $80 Mario Kart game that I know I'm not gonna play unless it's with my sister, like or with
You can play with
like
us. We can play Mario Kart together. You, me,
yeah,
and Paul
that could
and
be,
Rick.
and that's the thing. Like, if I know that I have the people that are more actively playing and do that, the thing is that if I learn something with Monster Hunter Wilds is that a lot of people moved on really quickly from the multiplayer faster than I
Yeah.
expected. So,
Yeah.
yes, but hey, it was because the year actually everyone had interest or everything that released
Yeah,
around
there's a lot
then.
of stuff. It's a busy year for sure. So
Yes, but yeah, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Joe, where can people find you?
you can find me at Joseph underscore law underscore Rusa on Twitter/X. You can find my writing on Season Gaming's website as Don Lionheart. Hopefully it won't be next week, but 2 weeks from now I'll have started Mind's Eye
Hmm.
and we'll be able to talk about that on here.
Hmm.
And depending on how long the game is, maybe I'll even have a review up by then.
Yeah, it's supposedly not that long.
Yeah, that's what I
They've been,
heard. It
yeah, it's like
wasn't too
15
long.
hours. It's like a 15-hour game that is
Yeah.
gonna have like a map builder within it, and they're gonna patch in the multiplayer later on. So it's gonna be kind of like this weird launching a single player, but they're treating it
Yeah,
as
I
an
mean,
ongoing thing.
I'm gonna review it as it launches. That's how
Mhm.
it works. You know, you review what's in front of you. So,
Yeah,
and
I
we'll see.
just,
I'm
yeah,
excited to check it out. I've
I
not really
just
watched any
hope,
of the new
yeah,
trailers, so
I know the preview cycle was so
nah.
damaging, yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm hoping that was just there, and then by the time that the game comes out, it's still like good. 'Cause I have to believe that Leslie Benzies is not gonna put a stink on his name with a game, but who
yeah,
knows? It's like we also live in an era where people that were stars that worked in a thing and then left and do something that didn't hit the same way. So it's like
yeah.
so.
We'll
And
see.
I mean, they had the advantage that GTA 6 left, so it's like they're a GTA like in the year
This is true.
2025. So,
This is true. But what
but
about you, Alex? Where can people find you?
A_Drew Segovia on Twitter, A Segovia on Blue Sky, and my written content or at seasongaming.com, where you can read my recent review of Clair Obscure Expedition 33. And at this point, hopefully, my Blaze of Fire review is already up and running. I haven't seen anything otherwise, but I did submit it. It's one of my shorter reviews I've made. I was like, I'm not gonna waste words in this one. I'm just gonna get to the point.
Yeah.
So read that if you want, if you're interested. So, but and then I'll be at SGF. I may no for next week. I'm not gonna be here for next week because that's the day I travel. I may be back on the episode in June 13th. Uh, because I will be in DC at that point. Maybe I'll be able to record, but if not, by security, maybe the one on the 19th because I fly in on the 11th. So I don't know
All
like
right. We'll
what I
see.
plan. But regardless, Joe, Rick, and Paul got you all covered.
And
So
maybe
if
some guests if we
yes,
need to.
absolutely. But Joe, thank you for being here, and everyone else that tuned in, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the X-Men. Episode 200 is coming soon, literally. Like even though we do it by seasons, I keep tally of how many episodes I've done too. If you see our thumbnails, it's like
We'll let you do the math.
yes, yeah, and it's like this basically June 26th, the day that Stranding 2 comes out. Is when episode
Hmm.
100, episode 200 is, which is wild to think that I reached a milestone for this podcast. So, but until then, like I'm traveling. I'll see you there, Joe.
Take
Hold the
care,
fort,
everyone.
Everyone, enjoy what you're playing. The month of May is already like faster. Like it's literally over at this point. Like basically, and
Yeah. Press X.
to play. Hasta la vista, baby.